For most of my life, I didn't know what I wanted to be. In high school, I bounced between ideas: veterinarian, photographer, teacher, even marine biologist for a hot minute after watching a documentary on dolphins. But nothing stuck. While friends enrolled in nursing school or accounting programs, I floated between part-time jobs and community college classes that led nowhere. It wasn't that I lacked ambition. I just didn't know where to place it. Some days I'd stare at my reflection, long blonde hair framing my face, a smile forced for the sake of others, and wonder, who are you supposed to be? I was 22 when that question finally started to find an answer. It came out of nowhere, really. I was walking downtown after my shift at the coffee shop, earbuds in, hoodie up, the wind teasing strands of my hair into my mouth. I passed a recruiting booth, one of those mobile army outreach setups with a couple of proud-looking soldiers in crisp uniforms and a table full of pamphlets. Normally, I'd walk past, but this time something made me stop. Maybe it was the way one of them, a woman with cropped dark hair and a powerful presence, caught my gaze. Not intimidating, just solid, centered, like she knew who she was. I asked questions, then more questions. I spent the whole evening Googling everything I could about Army life, entry tests, daily routines, and the sense of purpose that so many veterans wrote about with aching nostalgia. It clicked. It didn't feel like a whim. It felt like clarity. I wanted to serve. I wanted to be part of something greater. I wanted to become someone strong, someone certain. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of paperwork, appointments, and a mental roller coaster. I passed the physical exam after working hard to get into shape. The psychological evaluation was tougher, unearthing things I didn't expect to talk about. But I was honest, and I passed that too. My parents were surprised but supportive. My friends were split, some inspired, others concerned. But I felt surer than I'd ever felt before. As a celebration and maybe a kind of personal send-off, I went to the hairdresser. My blonde hair had always been long, like down to the middle of my back long. I told the stylist to chop it to my shoulders and add highlights. I felt light, free, excited for the new chapter. But that chapter had a twist I didn't expect. It arrived in a crisp white envelope with a government seal. My hands trembled just a little as I tore it open. The official language felt stiff, but the message hit like a sledgehammer. All new recruits, regardless of gender, must arrive with shaved heads. This policy ensures uniformity and hygiene at the training base. I read the sentence 3 times, as if the words would rearrange themselves into something softer. Shaved. Heads. I ran to the mirror. My new highlights still shimmered under the bathroom light. My hair barely grazed my collarbones now, neatly styled and freshly layered. I reached up and touched the strands, still soft from the salon's conditioner. And then I cried. Not a loud, sobbing fit. Just a single tear that slipped down my cheek. It wasn't just about vanity. My hair had been with me through everything. Bad boyfriends, late-night study sessions, job interviews, heartbreaks. It was the one constant in a sea of change. But I dried my eyes, stood a little taller, and said aloud to my reflection, "You're going to do this." The day of the head shave arrived sooner than I expected. I packed my small overnight bag and wore comfortable clothes. My heart thudded in my chest like a drumbeat of nerves. The Army had set up the hair removal station at a temporary facility near the training center. I walked in and immediately smelled disinfectant and shampoo, a strange combination that reminded me both of hospitals and salons. The room was large, with folding chairs arranged in a row. Each one faced a large mirror. Soldiers, mostly men, sat silently, each in various stages of the transformation. Some already bald, others midway through their shearing. Buzzers hummed like bees, and hair littered the floor in piles like forgotten memories. Then they called my name. I swallowed hard and stood up. My legs felt heavy. I walked toward the chair as if through molasses, conscious of every step. The woman standing by the chair gave me a kind smile. She was older, maybe mid-40s, with short silver hair and gentle eyes. She motioned for me to sit. The moment I sat down, it became real. She reached into a drawer and took out a white neck strip. She wrapped it gently around my neck. I felt it tighten just slightly as she secured it in place. My throat suddenly felt dry. Then came the cape. Red, bright red, like the kind they use in salons. She draped it over me with the practiced hands of someone who's done this 1,000 times. The fabric whispered across my shoulders as it settled around me. I looked into the mirror. My heart clenched. The red cape made my skin look pale. My blonde hair spilled over the top of the cape like golden threads, glinting with those still fresh highlights. I met my own eyes. I was scared. "You okay?" the woman asked gently. I nodded. "Just nervous." "It's normal," she said. "Everyone is, even the guys. But you'll be fine. Just breathe." And then she picked up the clippers. "Great, let's continue. This next section will fully immerse you in the detailed emotional head shave scene from her perspective, as she sits beneath the red cape and begins the transformation. The tone will stay intimate, reflective, and gradually grow more empowering." She clicked the clippers on. The low hum buzzed into my ears and vibrated through my chest like a countdown. I stared into the mirror, frozen. The woman took a step behind me, her hands gentle yet firm. "Chin down for me, sweetheart." I obeyed, lowering my head until I was looking straight down at the red fabric draped over my lap. My hair spilled like a curtain over the front of the cape, still so soft, still so me. Then I felt it. The clippers touched the nape of my neck. A strange sensation, not painful, but intimate, foreign. Then they pushed upward, slowly, steadily, with purpose. I gasped quietly, not from pain, but from shock. The sound was unmistakable. That crisp, satisfying crunch as the blades cut through the first path of hair. I could feel the vibration, feel the cold air touch the newly exposed skin. The woman's hand followed right behind the clippers, brushing the fallen hair aside with practiced rhythm. The first clump tumbled down the front of the cape and landed in my lap. Golden, thick, gone. I stared at it in silence, my throat tightening. She went back again, slightly to the side, carving another path through my crown. More hair slid away. Then another pass. And another. I could feel it happening, feel my head growing lighter with each movement of the buzzing blades. The clippers danced across my scalp like a painter's brush, erasing the past one strip at a time. Tears welled in my eyes again. Not sobs, just that sting, the heat behind the eyes. I blinked fast, but one tear escaped, landing softly on the red cape just above my knee. "Doing great," the woman said kindly, still moving methodically around my head. "You're brave." I didn't feel brave yet. I felt naked. Every pass of the clippers stripped something from me. Not just hair, but protection, identity, familiarity. I lifted my eyes for a moment and caught sight of my reflection. The top of my head was bare now. Soft, pale skin exposed, with tufts still hanging at the sides and back. My features looked sharper somehow, my ears more noticeable, my eyes bigger. I had never seen myself like this. No one had. The clippers moved to my right temple. I felt the blades glide from my sideburn up past my ear, and a cascade of hair dropped down onto my shoulder, then slid down the cape to join the rest. Soon the left side followed. My lap was now covered in golden strands, some still curled slightly from the layers and the highlights. I could hardly see the fabric of the cape anymore. Just a blanket of what used to be mine. She tilted my head slightly to one side and ran the clippers behind my ear. I flinched a little at the ticklish feeling, but she was gentle. "Almost there," she said. The final long section, the crown, was still clinging to my head like it didn't want to let go. The woman paused for just a second, then placed her hand on top, steadying me. I closed my eyes. The clippers roared one more time, and then that last section was gone. I felt it fall across my face and shoulders, spilling into my lap with the rest of it. I opened my eyes again. My head was bare. She clicked off the clippers and set them down. For a few seconds, there was only silence. No buzz, no instructions, just me in the mirror, and a stranger staring back. Except, it wasn't a stranger. It was me. Just raw, real, reborn. Now I'm going to smooth it all out, okay? The woman said, picking up a smaller pair of clippers with no guard. This will get it baby bald. I nodded. She sprayed my scalp with warm mist. Something slightly scented, almost like eucalyptus. Then she ran the bare clippers over every inch of my head again, this time more slowly, like polishing a sculpture. The sensation was electric. Not painful, just heightened. Every nerve felt alive. Every movement echoed deep inside me. The back of my neck, my temples, around my ears, the top of my crown. She checked with her fingers, smoothing as she went, inspecting her work like an artist. My tears had dried, replaced by a strange calm. She wiped away the fine hairs with a damp cloth, then finally unfastened the cape and neck strip. The red cape slid off my shoulders in one fluid motion, carrying all of my blonde hair with it. The pile fell into a bin behind the chair, but a few strands clung to the fabric and fluttered to the floor as I stood. I ran my hand slowly over my scalp. Warm. Software unfamiliar. My fingertips trembled as they moved across the curve of my skull. I felt everything. My heartbeat in my fingertips, my breath catching in my throat. I stepped forward and looked at myself again. I looked fierce. Not in a dramatic way. In a solid way. Like nothing was hidden anymore. I walked outside into the sunlight. The breeze hit my scalp and I shivered. Not from cold, but from sensation. My head had never felt air like this before. My whole body felt awake. Other recruits were standing nearby. Some bald, some waiting. A few looked at me. Some nodded. One guy gave me a thumbs up. I smiled back. Then I looked down at the sidewalk where the salon emptied its clippings. My hair was there. Still golden. Still mine. Lying in a pile like something shed. I didn't feel sad. I felt light. Free. Ready.